Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the book club show on Inspire 105.1 FM. My name is Imrana Mahmood. I hope you have had a wonderful morning so far. I am really excited for today's show because I am joined by some really special guests. And this is part of what you must have heard by now, the Young Muslim Writers Awards. So this is a Muslim Hands project. So what I will do is I'm going to start off the show, give you a little bit of context on what these awards are about. I am then going to be joined in the virtual studio by three wonderful guests who have actually entered the creative writing competition. We'll talk a little bit about some of their reading habits. We'll talk to them about the inspiration behind their story, perhaps a little bit about what got them into creative writing in the first place. And obviously, listeners, you know I'm absolutely passionate about creative writing and obviously reading. And it's an absolute joy to have a connection to Young Muslim Writers Award as well. So just to give you a bit of context, Young Muslim Writers Award aims to inspire Muslims to explore the creative industries and creative writing. It strives to help children become more confident in sharing their ideas and becoming articulate in doing so. It is now in its 15th edition in 2025, presented in association with the Institute of English Studies at the School of Advanced Study at the University of London for the 8th year with support of the official media partner Islam Channel. YMWA nurtures and celebrates the writing talents of children in the UK through writing masterclasses and an annual writing competition. There are usually 4 categories, which is short story, poetry, play script, and screenplay. So YMWA has worked with thousands of children over the years. The top 5 entries are shortlisted from each category. The 2025 competition has been judged by 35 judges, which include poets, novelists, playwrights, and screenwriters. The winners are going to be announced at the awards ceremony on Saturday, 29th November in London, inshallah. So that is super exciting. And I already know a little bit about the Young Muslim Writers Award because my own daughters, she has entered the competition twice and been shortlisted twice. So I know the wonderful work that goes on behind the scenes. And it's always really exciting to be able to go down to the award ceremony. So I'm really excited and looking forward to talking to my 3 guests a little bit about how they're feeling, what they've written, and some of their inspirations. So let's move on to me introducing our 3 wonderful guests. So in the studio with me today, I have Saleh, I have Humaira, and I have Idris. So each of them have entered the different categories in terms of the Young Muslim Writers Award. So we'll go into a bit more detail in a short moment. But let's first get everybody to say Assalamu alaikum. So Assalamu alaikum. Guys, how are you all doing?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, very well, thank you, Idris. So let's start off by saying how Idris. So let me get your target the question to you. How did you first hear about the Young Muslim Writers Awards?
My mom told me about it on social media, and then I started writing lots of stories and entering them into the competition. And I think I've been shortlisted 3 times, and I've entered 3 times as well.
Amazing, mashallah, well done, congratulations on doing that. And how about Humaira? How about yourself? How did you first come across the Young Muslim Writers Award? Was it also through a parent or carer, or was it a different way?
Yeah, I think my mom saw it on social media and she told me about it.
Fantastic.
So I've entered for the past couple of years.
Great. Okay. And what were you when your mum kind of mentioned it to you, was it something you thought, oh yeah, straight away, yeah, this definitely has something I want to do, or did you need a bit of encouragement? How did you feel?
When she told me about it, I was thinking this may be something I could get into because I do like writing, and I thought, I could enter.
Yeah, amazing, brilliant. I'm really glad to hear that. And Saleh, the same question to you. How did you come across the Young Muslim Writers Awards?
Well, my mum also found it on social media, and then she told me about it, and she shortlisted one of the stories that I didn't know that she was going to shortlist.
Oh, so it was what, like you say, it was even a surprise for you?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's nice. Well, that's good. I'm glad that we've got really such wonderful parents who are strongly encouraging and kind of finding, you know, these wonderful opportunities for their children. So what I will do then is I'm going to introduce a little bit more detail about each of our guests, and then we'll talk a little bit about, I think we'll start off with books because this is the book club show. So Idris, the category that he entered for was Key Stage 2B short story. And the title of his entry is The Magic Object. So Idris is 11 years old. He's an avid reader with a particular interest in Philip Pullman and Roald Dahl, as well as vintage Beano comics, which he collects from charity shops. He regularly participates in the local library's summer reading challenge. A leading mathematician at his school, Idris actively takes part in math competitions and enjoys mathematical challenges. Fantastic. I really like that bio. I have to say, Idris, though, I do not enjoy maths whatsoever. What is it about maths that you enjoy?
I really enjoy problem solving and working out lots of questions.
Great. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
It also makes me feel relaxed and calm. And it's also everywhere around us. So like in the building and on the chair I'm sitting on, they'll need to like measure how long it would be.
That is so true. It definitely is in the world around us. I think probably why I sometimes struggle. But no, that's so lovely to hear. So let's come back to a little bit about your reading. So what is it about Philip Pullman? So he's obviously a very well-known author. What kind of books of his have you like enjoyed the most, and what is it about his particular books that you like reading?
I really enjoy reading The Firework Maker's Daughter, which is about a girl called Lila whose father doesn't believe she can become a firework maker, but in the end she proves her father wrong by becoming a firework maker.
Right. Okay. That sounds really exciting. Sadly, I have heard of Philip Pullman. I know he's a very well-known author. I don't think I've ever read any of his books. I probably should. So would you, for somebody who maybe hasn't read any of Philip Pullman's books, what would you say to them to encourage them or convince them that it's worth reading?
Well, contain lots of description and within the stories, and I really enjoy reading about like the plots that the characters get up to, and basically like I really enjoy it.
Yeah, okay. I think you've probably just about convinced me, actually. So I should probably definitely look that up. How about Saliha? Have you ever read Philip Pullman's books, or what kind of books do you tend to prefer?
Well, I haven't really read those books, but I like reading The Star Outside My Window by Anjali Ralph. So I like Anjali Ralph stories about social awareness, and I like Zainab Mia's stories. They're very funny stories, and now these days I've been reading Harry Potter.
Amazing, fantastic. That's really great kind of breadth of different genres, which I really, really like. So listeners, Saliha has entered for Key Stage 2A short story. So she is 8 years old. However, I must say it's her birthday tomorrow. So I did tell her just before the show that I don't have a good singing voice. Otherwise, I would have offered to sing happy birthday. But just to say happy birthday to Saliha. She is homeschooled. She loves cycling, just like her main character in her story, which is the title of her entry is The Ginger Beard Muslim. I love the title. She loves writing and reading, and she's currently as we've just found out, a fan of Harry Potter is on book 3. So Saliha chose to write a story about bullying. She also took part in the Young Muslim Writers Award last year, and her work was shortlisted. So then let's come on, Saliha. What is it about, for example, you've mentioned both Anjali Ralph and Zainab Mia. Obviously, they do write about different things. Like you said, Zenemia's books tend to be much more, they are really fun, they're very humorous. They also do tackle very kind of real experiences at the same time. And I guess that is maybe a link to Anjali Ralph. Obviously, a lot of it is about social awareness and tackling really important subjects. What would you say drew you to those authors or those particular stories? Just
can you please repeat?
Yeah, of
I
course.
didn't really get that. Can you please repeat?
Yeah, I'm happy to repeat that. So I was asking what drew you to books by Zenobia and Anjali Ralph. Obviously, they both deal, I guess, with like real life experiences, but in very, very different ways.
Yeah, well, Anjali Ralph, she writes about social awareness because she also works as a refugee aid. And Zenamia, she writes more about like Islamic book for younger kids, and like there's funny and stuff.
Yeah.
And
No, definitely. Have you ever had a chance to like meet either of those authors before?
well, no, not really. But my cousin sent me a picture when she met Zenamia.
Oh, amazing. Fantastic. Yeah, because I think both authors, they do a lot of kind of visits to schools and things. So I was just interested whether you'd met, but no, that's amazing. Thank you so much. So coming on to Humera. So Humera has entered Key Stage 4 short story, and her title of her entry is called Flesh and Blood. She's currently studying for GCSEs this year, and her favourite subject is English, especially creative writing. She's an avid reader and was inspired to enter the competition after witnessing the power of speech through literature. So this is her third time entering this particular competition, but first time getting this far. She likes entering creative writing competitions and looks for opportunities to do so. Humera, so what is it about, for example, the power of speech that's kind of inspired you to write, I guess, your own stories?
I kind of like how authors, they kind of project what they're trying to think, the message to society through their words, through their stories and books.
Yeah. And are there any particular messages you feel, or any particular authors that you enjoy reading that you feel that do that well?
No, I don't have a particular favorite author, but I think each book has its own individual message. All worth looking into.
Yeah, no, definitely. So what would you say in terms of, so your title is that you've got a really intriguing title for your entry for Young Writers Award, which is called Flesh and Blood. So can you give our listeners a bit of an idea of what your story is about? And obviously without spoilers and without spoiling it.
So basically the story is from the perspective of a young boy who's writing a letter to his father he hasn't seen for quite a while. And in the letter you can kind of see how the boy, he goes from a shy child to someone who's like driven by obsession, and then yeah.
Oh, amazing. Okay. And what inspired that? Was there something specific about that particular story you thought, oh yeah, I really need to write this? Or had you read or seen something else that made you think of it?
So I think at the time I was had been doing a lot of thinking about how trauma, it kind of changes people's personalities and how it makes them feel the need to change themselves so they can push on and survive, I suppose.
Oh, amazing. Okay. Now that's really, really interesting. And I know maybe not completely relevant, but it's almost making me think of a particular show. It's only because it's come out recently on Netflix, but obviously it's based on a book, which is Frankenstein. And actually, I don't know why it's made me think of that, but you're right. This idea of actually what trauma and different types of experiences and the impact that can have and the outcome that can have on someone's personality, I think it's really, really interesting. So Idris, your book, inshallah it will be a book one day, but as in your entry for the Young Muslim Writers Award is called The Magic Object. So can you give me a little bit of more information about what your entry and your story is about?
So it is basically about a boy who's in a charity shop, and he finds a jacket, and he finds out that when he puts it on, it can transport him to different places and take him back in time. And he first goes to Disneyland, and when he comes back home, he sees that his parents are watching something on the TV, and he's seeing that someone's destroying an oil tanker and polluting the sea. So he gets the jacket to go back in time to try and save the world.
Oh, amazing. Okay. And what kind of inspired that? Because I guess there's a couple of things there. There's a bit of fantastical element, because obviously there's it's literally called the magic object. But then it sounds like you're also exploring something really important, like kind of climate awareness. So yeah, I'm interested to know what inspired the story.
So basically, I really enjoy going to the charity shop to get Beano comics, and I also so the character can time travel, because I like to watch lots of shows like Doctor Who and Futurama. So the character can time travel, and I also really enjoy reading Waldo and Philip Pullman books because of the vivid description of the characters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the idea actually of writing a story about, time travel. And yeah, I can totally see how that would be kind of inspired by like shows like Doctor Who. I absolutely loved Doctor Who when I was growing up. And actually, I lie. My dad loved Doctor Who when he was growing up, and he kind of convinced me to start watching it with him. And I think, yeah, it was kind of more through the TV shows that I kind of gained interest in that. But okay, no, that's really interesting. And can I come back to the point, because you mentioned, and this was obviously in the introduction as well, about reading Beano comics. What is it about comics that is kind of interesting? Because I know some people, they much prefer just kind of being immersed in comics rather than reading what I guess you'd call a traditional book, so to speak. So what is it about comics that you find interesting?
Well, I really enjoy reading the Beano because I like to read about all the mischief Dennis the Menace gets up to with Pieface. And I also like the jokes and the puzzles that are within the book, and also the competitions. And I've also been a Beano editor before, and I got to read the comic strips before everyone else. And I also got to pick who read the Beano in the most extreme places, and I picked the person that read a Beano on top of a volcano.
Wow, that is so exciting. How amazing. Right. Then you're almost like an expert then, I guess, in comics, if you've also been kind of reading them before anybody else. That's really brilliant. So how about Saleh, are you into comics? Have you ever read much when it comes to comics, or do you prefer other types of stories?
Well, I don't really read comics, but I don't really read comics. I usually stick to like the storybooks and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. So in that case, Idris, what would you say to Saleh to kind of almost convince her that it might be worth giving comics a go? What advice would you give?
Well, they're really fun to read, and they they're basically like comics, but like books, I meant, but like they have pictures, and you really enjoy them when you read them.
Okay. Yeah, and definitely I think the picture element definitely does help. And I've always, obviously I host the book club show, and I am a big advocate, obviously, for reading for pleasure. And sometimes I do have parents, carers, or like older people come to me and they're always like, oh, my child's reading just comics, or there's almost like a feeling of they should be reading other material. And actually, I'm always said any form of reading is so important and it's so impactful. So whether that is comics or whether that is kind of just a traditional, whether it's fiction or non-fiction book, all of it still, I think for me anyway, kind of counts as reading, and it counts as storytelling. And I think that's the most important part, because any stories or all stories have some sort of message. And that's the most, I think, maybe important thing to kind of think about. Humera, would you kind of agree with that? I mean, I don't know whether comics is something that you've ever been into, but what are your kind of thoughts? Do you think people treat comics or, you know, more visual type of storytelling different from, you know, the like other types? So what are your thoughts on that?
I do know a lot of people who think that comics aren't proper reading, but personally, I think it's completely fine. At least the reading. But personally, I don't. I like to have the words in front of me, not the pictures. I don't like to get the colours are distracting. You know what I mean?
Oh, you find okay. So if you're reading a story, you find pictures distracting rather than kind of complementing.
Yes, I like to have my imagination.
Okay, fine. Kind of like your own fine. And in terms of, so let's go into a little bit more about the Young Muslim Writers Award. So when you submit an entry, what is that process like? And do you, for example, need to have like a book cover image that you've also drawn, or is it you just have to write kind of a story? So tell us a little bit about that process. So if there's any other young people listening in who might be interested to kind of submit for next year, let's say, it'd be really great to get a bit of information about that.
I think whatever you choose to enter, like a play script or a story, I think it's always best to have a plan, to outline what you're going to do. Personally, I didn't have a plan, and I was literally up at the deadline writing.
Right. Okay. So sorry, did you say you did have a plan, but you were still kind of a little bit, you know, trying to reach the deadline, or you didn't?
I didn't have a plan, so I know what to not do.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's perfect. It's such a good way of learning it. You know, that's really good. So you know what not to do, which is really good for me. I have a very bad habit of trying to submit things very, very last minute. So no, that's definitely true. So Sadha, what about yourself? What was it like for you? Did you have a plan before you started writing your story, or were you like, oh, I know exactly what to write, I'm going to go straight into it?
Well, no, I didn't really have a plan. I have to keep on thinking, because first I thought maybe I'd do like a runner story and something like that happened. And then I thought maybe skating, because like it was just I had to jump, like I kept on jumping to the next thing. I didn't really think. And then when I did submit it, it was like lunchtime on the same day or something.
Right. Okay. So that makes it. But I really like the idea that this almost feels to me, and obviously we'll talk a little bit more about this in the second half, that as you've written, like you've obviously been inspired about something and just, you know, wanting to get it down kind of on paper and then submit it, which I think is really, really great. Idris, did you have much planning beforehand, or did you also kind of just think, no, I started writing and then kind of submitted it?
Well, I first created a mind map and also made a stream of consciousness and put down my ideas. And once I'd done that, I used them to create sentences and then wrote the whole story for the first draft and read it out to someone who'd listen. And then once I did that, I got feedback and rewrote it and improved it.
Amazing. That's a really good, I think, process to go through. And how were you, or how are you in receiving feedback? Because it's not always easy receiving feedback. So it's quite a brave thing, you know, to ask somebody, because you're basically asking them to help you improve it, or kind of, you know, look at things that can be critiqued. So yeah, how are you in receiving feedback?
Well, I'm really good at receiving feedback, because I know which parts I've gone wrong so that I can improve it to make it better. And they also just tell me which parts don't make sense, and then I would just change them.
Yeah, no, that's really good, because I mean, I do a bit of writing as well. I don't do short stories as much. I think more of my writing is more to do with like poetry and spoken word. And I know actually how nerve-wracking it can be for me. Like if I've written something or if I'm performing something, I'm always thinking about how it's going to be received or what people will say. So I always say this to people, like when I run creative writing workshops, or I'm working on, you know, different creative projects, that actually, you know, it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay, and there's so much bravery in sharing your work, and it is important, I think, yeah, like you said, to always be open to critique, be open to feedback, because that's how we're going to learn, and that's how we're going to improve. And, you know, and I think that's what's so amazing about the Young Muslim Writers Award. I think, you know, it's giving really amazing opportunity for young people to really have an opportunity to write and share their stories and share their inspirations, which I think is really, really brilliant. And in the second half of the show, what we're going to do is we'll ask both all three, Idris, Saliha and Humera, to read a little bit of short extracts from the entries that they've submitted. And in the introduction, like we said, the winners are going to be announced at the awards ceremony on Saturday, the 29th of November. So that's obviously coming up on this weekend. So I'm really excited to get to know a little bit more about our guests, get to know a little bit more about their journeys, and also to hear some extracts of their short stories. So we will be coming back in a few moments. But in the meantime, I hope that this is kind of inspiring a little bit of your own journeys. So if there are like young people who are going to be listening in and you're interested in getting in touch with Young Muslim Writers Award, obviously you can do that, and maybe you can give a go and submit an entry for the next round, inshallah, because it is definitely an amazing opportunity. So I will be back in a few moments with our lovely guests to carry on the conversation. Go grab yourselves maybe a bit of tea and some biscuits. We'll be back in a few moments. Assalamu alaikum.
Get Luton prayer and Jamaat times for your local masjid on your phone. Download the Inspire FM app, available for free on the App Store or Google Play.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Book Club show on Inspire 105.1 FM. My name is Imrana Mahmood and I am really happy to be in the studio once again with some wonderful guests. And today we are talking about the Young Muslim Writers Awards. If you missed the first half we spent a bit of time getting to know our guests who are Saliha, Idris and Humera. We talked to them a little bit about some of their interests and their favourite books and reading, the type of genres that they enjoy. We talked a little bit about the process of their kind of creative writing process, whether they plan or don't plan. Humera shared a wonderful bit of advice in terms of what she's learned not to do, which is leaving obviously too much to do, it's too close to the deadline, which it always then requires a bit of good planning. And that is definitely something for me to remind myself, because I know I sometimes struggle with deadlines and planning as well. And Idris was mentioning that he is very good at receiving feedback. So he tends to write a story. He'll then get to read it out to somebody he obviously trusts, who will then share a bit of feedback. So we talked a little bit about that. And Saleh was just mentioning a little bit about, for example, her interest in Harry Potter, but also books by Zainab Mia and Anjali Ralph, and the fact that, you know, they tackle really current, important social issues and how important that is when you are reading books as well. So the most important obviously being that we are reading for pleasure, and that is literally what the book club show is about. So I'm going to invite my guests back on to talk a little bit more about their creative writing journeys and their books and their interest in books. So just inviting Saliha back on. Saliha, I'm really interested to know, like when it comes to reading, so you've mentioned like some of your favorite authors. What got you into reading? Is there something, like, do you remember a specific moment in time where you thought, oh yeah, you know, I really enjoy this as a hobby? Was it through family? Was it through school? Was it through friends? So yeah, just tell me a little bit about that.
Well, no, there isn't. I don't remember exactly how I got into reading, but I can just say, like, since I was young, like around 3 years old, 4 years old, I've been learning to read, and then by the time I was probably 6, I've been confidently reading on my own.
Okay, so it's been over time. It's something, yeah, like you said, the confidence is built over time. The interest, I guess, is built over time as well. And that's such a key thing, really, because I sometimes have like parents or carers or other people talk to me about like children and how to get them into reading. And I guess the advice I've always given them is just to be persistent, because it's not necessary, because reading is a habit that you develop over time. It's not something that is just, it comes like overnight. And also I think you maybe need to find the specific type of book or genre that you're really interested in, because I think once you find that, then you definitely I find that as well. As soon as I found books that I was really interested in, I fell in love with reading. Idris, what about you? Do you kind of, is it the same for you? Is it something that just kind of happened over time, or do you remember somebody or something specific that helped you to get into reading?
So I used to go to the library a lot, and I took part in the summer reading challenge, which helped me get into reading, because I started reading lots of books so that I could complete the reading challenge.
For anybody who maybe hasn't or doesn't take part in the summer reading challenge, could you tell us what that is and how do you get into it? How do you get involved?
So you can go to your local library and get a sheet to sign up, and all you have to do, I think you have to read about 5 or 6 books, but it only happens in the summer, so it's not going to happen right now.
Of course, yeah, exactly. So, but it's basically for the summer holidays. So then, is the idea that you just read some books? Is there a list that you need to take, and you get a prize? Not maybe a prize, but as in, what happens at the end of the challenge then?
So basically, you would so once you've read all the books, you get stickers to put it on this like leaflet, and once and it basically completes a picture like a puzzle, and then once you've done it, they'll give you a certificate and a medal.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's definitely worth it then. Yeah, that sounds definitely something good. And it's such a good way, I guess, because summer holidays, obviously it's really wonderful time to relax from school. It's a good time to spend with family, but equally it's an excellent time to spend with books. And yeah, and I think the idea of a challenge and then getting some stickers and having almost like a reading passport, so to speak, I think is a wonderful idea. Humera, is the summer reading challenge something that you've also kind of taken part in?
Yeah, actually, when I was growing up, we always used to go to the library in the summer holidays, and I literally used to go every other day just so I could collect my stamps and books.
Oh, amazing! So wait, so going every other day, does that mean you were reading a book every other day, or was it just that you just kept going back to get more? Like, how does that work?
So I'd get a few books, and then as soon as I'd read them, I'd go back to get more.
Right. Okay. So you were reading like loads of books then, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. Oh no, I love that. Okay. And then, so is that just for the time, because you said you used to? So is that more the summer reading challenge aimed more at the like kind of younger children, or it's not really for like older teenagers, or how does that work then?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure there's an age limit. I'm too old now.
Yeah. Oh, and how do you feel about that? Do you feel kind of, or do you wish there was something similar for like, your age young people?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And I think, and what are your thoughts about libraries in general? Because, I think in Luton, we're really, because obviously Inspire FM being based in Luton, we're really lucky. We've got, lots of libraries that open, you can, I think even our central libraries even open on a Sunday. I don't know how it is in other places, but how important have libraries, or what role have libraries played in your kind of reading journey?
I think I was brought up around the library, so it was like a ritual. Every week would go, and that kind of got me onto books.
Yeah, exactly. It's such an important part, isn't it? I mean, I remember when I was younger, and obviously I'm much older than you guys, but just definitely go to the library, and we had a mobile library. I don't know if that still happens actually. So it literally used to be a mobile library that you'd come to your road and you'd kind of go in, and it was like immersing yourself in this like really amazing space. And yeah, it was really, really wonderful. So I think it does definitely have a big impact. Sadia, how about yourself in terms of libraries? Do you still go to the library often? Is it something that you enjoy? Is your local library quite near where you live?
Yes, yeah, we live quite close to the library. Not
Mm.
like exactly near. We still have to go by car, but
Okay.
it is near to our house.
And you go quite often still?
Pardon?
Oh, do you still go quite often to the library, or do you still get time, or are you kind of now too busy writing your own stories?
No, we still get time. Also, can I add?
Yes.
Also add that I also, me and my siblings, we also compete in the summer reading challenges.
Oh, amazing. Sorry, yes, I was meant to ask you about that as well. Oh, so you compete with your siblings. Oh my goodness. Doesn't that get a bit too like competitive? Like, do you lot fight over them, or how do you manage all of that?
Well, we get the three separate ones because I have a brother and a sister. We get separate ones because
Okay.
I'm like over their reading level.
Yes, okay. That
So
makes sense.
yeah.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Of course, you get through kind of three separate ones. But do you compare how many books you've each kind of read, though? Are you kind of like, well, I've read five, and they're like, oh, I've only read three, and like, do you end up having a bit of a competition? I guess it's a healthy competition, though, right?
Yeah, well, we don't really fight because we usually just like whenever we're doing like what's it called? When we're competing in something, we keep to ourselves. We don't want to like have in a fight, otherwise it'll just ruin it for everyone.
That's so true, and that's such a sensible answer. And that's really, I think your parents and your mum should be very proud. I can imagine if it was my children, God knows how they. I'm sure they probably were arguing. But no, that's really lovely. I think it's so important to be able to enjoy reading together, even though, yeah, of course, you'll be reading your own books. I mean, some of my favorite time that even I spend. So I've got two daughters. Who are kind of young teenagers, and I absolutely love still reading to them at bedtime. But what we do is we'll pick a book, and we just we'll just read an extract each, or we'll just kind of I'll read a little bit and then we'll talk about it. So, for example, me and my younger daughter who's 14, we've been reading Animal Farm together, and even though it's something I read, I've enjoyed so much rereading it with my daughter and kind of being able to talk about it. And I also run a book club in Luton for women, so obviously that's kind of the old age group. But yes, as listeners all know, books are my life, so I love talking about books.
Excuse me.
Go on. Yes.
My mum also runs a book club for kids. It's called Caterpillar's Book Club.
Amazing. Oh, cool. I'm so glad to hear that. I'll have to probably have your mum on like a different show and talk to her about this book club, because that actually sounds really, really fun. And what a wonderful idea. I think having book clubs is such a important part of society. So yes, so just mention to your mum that I will probably I'll invite her on and give her own show. But today the limelight, Saliha, is obviously on you guys. And but thank you so much for mentioning it. I love the name as well, Caterpillar's Book Club. That's really cool.
Sure, I'll mention.
Right. Yes. Okay. No. Thank you for doing that. Right. Okay. So what I would really like is for our three guests to read some extracts of their stories. So I might come to Idris first and ask Idris to read a little bit of his entry to the Young Muslim Writers Award, which is called The Magic Object.
Yes. The extract is here. So, despite all the chaotic mess, I spotted a magnificent velvet red jacket with a football emblazoned on the back and blue shoulder pads. I rushed like a thunderbolt driven by an impulse, darting towards the corner of the shop. The jacket was mine. I grabbed the jacket and put it on. The velvet felt strangely comforting against my skin and almost felt familiar, like meeting an old friend. Suddenly a tingling sensation cascaded through my entire body. Some mysterious phenomenon told me that something wasn't right. Then in an instant, a purple and blue twisting and swirling portal opened before me. It was like the movement of water disappearing down a plug hole. It immediately sucked me in like a hoover. It felt as if someone pushed me inside a water slide with all their might, and my body accelerating at lightning speed, as well as the purple and blue swirling lines and usually I can see a grandfather clock with its hands vigorously turning clockwise and anti-clockwise. I tried to scream for help, but no sound came out. There was nobody here. My heart dared not to beat, as I was frightened that I did not know what would happen next.
Wow, that is amazing. Man, I want to hear the rest of it. That's fantastic. I loved, can I just say, and it was very visceral, the feelings, like, velvet jacket and the way you describe it as an old friend. I mean, that's so beautiful. I mean, I really, really love that. And yeah, and I definitely get this idea of what I would imagine if you ended up time traveling, what it would be like. I think this idea of that tingling sensation and the, did you say the grandfather clock? And it's kind of like, yeah. That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Idris, for sharing that. I enjoyed that and definitely would like to read more. Humera, how about yourself? Can we have a little bit of a short extract from Flesh and Blood?
Yeah, of course. Okay. To my father. My earliest memories date back to my early childhood. I remember my mother playing with me, teasing my cheeks, watching old movies, and going out to eat as one happy family. Nothing unusual about that, except for the fact that I had no paternal figure. Even though you were completely absent from my life, the idea of a father haunted my every thought. I used to see little boys and girls getting picked up from school by their dads with a hug and a kiss. I'd watch children my age being pushed down slides and swung around playfully by their fathers. I used to watch enviously, hoping with all my heart that you would make a miraculous appearance. I tried to ask Mother about you, but all I got was a distasteful and dismissive response every single time. Always something along the lines of, you don't need to worry your head about that useless sack of bones. But now I know better. Over time, feelings of hatred and disdain grew in my heart, overtaking my entire being, and all that can be credited to my companion, the one who has given me advice and stayed with me throughout my life.
Great, amazing. Thank you so much for reading that, and just that powerful kind of way to read it as well, and this idea of like memories and linking old movies. But coming back to what you said earlier on in the show, because obviously your story, and you said you've got like an interest, I guess, in how trauma shapes someone's life, and I think you can definitely get that from the extract that you've written in terms of kind of relationships and how relationships are between like you said, like father and child. So no, thank you. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Saliha, so are you ready? Can you share an extract from The Gingerbeard Muslim?
Yes, of course. My story is about how the gingerbread Muslim helped this young girl called Haya overcome her fear of being bullied. So here's my extract. On the table, she saw a bright yellow rucksack. A tall man stood on the other side of the table, facing the window and folding a mat. When he turned around, Haya saw the long, curly ginger beard. He greeted them with a big smile. "Good afternoon," he said, while putting a prayer mat and a Quran from the table into his yellow rucksack. "How are you today, Haya? Please say a big thank you from your mum for the delicious cookies and Hadi for adding a long beard to the gingerbread man." He laughed. "He's a sweet boy." Haya nodded in confusion. Miss Ruby gave a big smile and said, I'll take my leave now, Mr. Adam. Haya, I'll see you later in the class." Mr. Adam said goodbye and turned to Haya, who was still trying to join the dots in her head as he blurted out, "You're the gingerbread man?" "Yes, I guess I am," smiled Mr. Adam. "And I am also your school counselor. Miss Ruby told me about you, and your mother also shared some concerns." "Haya," Mr. Adam continued politely, "my job is to make sure students are listened to and provided help and support in any way I can. But that just like a good Muslim should do. So how can I help?" Haya felt a bit foolish to have said that, but at the same time she was a bit at ease, realizing that the yellow sack rucksack was not that spooky after all. Mr. Adam was a Muslim and must be walking to the mosque early in the morning. Haya couldn't say much after in her first meeting, but as the days went by, she began to feel more confident to share her feelings.
Thank you for reading that. And you know what, it's really interesting because I'm listening to you reading, and it definitely does feel like I'm reading or kind of hearing a story by like somebody like Zed and Mia. There's something really kind of lighthearted about it, which I think is really great and also quite enticing, because you can tell that actually there's something happening here. There's you know, kind of exploring that. I'm interested to know, Saleh, how did you come up with the title, The Gingerbeard Muslim? I mean, I love the title. Was it something that, did you start off with the title first, or did it come a bit later?
Well, I usually choose the name first because of the name. If I choose the name first, then I can like think in my head what the story would be like.
Yeah. Okay.
And I chose the name because the main character, the Gingerbeard Muslim, that is like him.
Yeah.
So
yes, exactly. So it's kind of like character, main protagonist.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it makes so much sense, I guess, that if you would start with the title, it will help shape the story. So I think that's a really good way to do it. Idris, how about yourself? I can't remember if I asked you about the title. Is that something, what order did you do it in? Did the title come first? Did it come after?
It came after, because I was really just focusing on the story before the title, because I felt like it was, I knew what to write, but I felt like I could just create the title after.
Yeah. Because I know, writers, obviously, they approach their writing very differently. Some do it first or not. I'm trying to think when I do things. What do I do? I think I tend to write the thing I'm writing. I mean, obviously, like I said, it's usually poetry. But I think my title tends to come afterwards. But it's always really interesting to me how it works with, you know, writers and how they approach their work differently. Humaira, how about yourself? So obviously yours is called Flesh and Blood. Did you do it before or after?
Earlier, I was literally writing at the last minute, and my title, I had no idea what to do, so I literally wrote the first two words that came to my head.
Okay, fine. Or like a eeny, meeny, miny, mo type thing. Let me just think of some words. But actually, they have kind of, I think in some ways, obviously I haven't read the whole entry, but from the extra that you read, I think it probably does really capture some of what, you know, you're trying to explore in terms of those themes. So no, obviously I think that's probably worked out well. So obviously for any listeners who are just joining us, firstly, you should have been here sooner. But if you have only just joined us, we are talking to Idris, Humaira and Saleh. These are three writers who have been shortlisted for the Young Muslim Writers Awards. The award ceremony taking place on Saturday the 29th of November, and this is part of a Muslim Hands project. The idea is to help children become more confident in sharing their ideas and becoming articulate. It's in association with the Institute of English Studies and the School of Advanced Study at the University of London. The official media partner is Islam Channel. And as we mentioned in the first half of the show, there's 4 categories. So you can submit either short story, poetry, play script, or screenplay. I guess I was really interested to know, we've got about 5 minutes or so left of the show. How are you all feeling about attending the award ceremony? Now, I know, obviously, I think perhaps for all of you, you've obviously entered the competition before. Some of you have been shortlisted previously as well. But just, I guess, to kind of capture some of that feeling of how it feels when you first find out that you're shortlisted. And then how, I guess, you're feeling about, you know, attending the awards ceremony on Saturday. Idris, how about I give that question to you first?
When I found out that I was shortlisted, I was really excited. And when I heard out that we're going to award ceremony, I was happy as well, because we get lots of refreshments and drinks.
Yeah, that's right. And you get a goodie bag too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So
also, met lots of authors last time and got to speak to them.
That's definitely a plus point. Yeah, for sure. No, definitely, I agree with you there. And Sadha, how about yourself? How are you feeling about attending the ceremony on Saturday, and how did you feel when you found out you were shortlisted?
Well, the thing is, because I'm abroad, and
yes.
we are. I'm flying back to London on the 28th, and when my mum got the message that I have been shortlisted, that it was in the nighttime. I was asleep, so she only told me in the morning. So we're flying back on the 28th, and then so she checked that, and then she was like so excited that because like we live in Nottingham. No, we don't live in exactly London.
Right,
so Mama was like so my mum was like so happy and excited that the day after we arrive, it's the ceremony.
Yeah.
And then in the morning she told me, and I was like really, really excited.
Amazing. That's so nice. And I'm so glad that's worked out really well. The fact that you've arrived back in time to attend, and that what wonderful news to wake up to in the morning. I can only imagine how your mum must have felt having to wait all night before she could tell you if you'd already been asleep. I know I would have been really, really excited. And like I mentioned, because my daughter's been shortlisted twice, and I know I was so happy and excited like for her. But yeah, it is really, honestly, again, just congratulations, obviously, to all three of you. An absolute huge well done for getting shortlisted, and and just for writing such wonderful stories. Humera, how are you feeling about Saturday, and what was it like for you when you got shortlisted?
On Saturday, I wouldn't really know what to do with myself. Okay. But then the journey to London is kind of a big thing in itself, because from where I am right now, it's a long journey, 4 hours.
Where are you based?
Yorkshire, pretty much.
Oh, I see. So yeah, that is quite a bit of a trip, isn't it? Oh, but that's good. It's a good trip, reason to come to London, and a good excuse to kind of celebrate your writing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And how was your parents, or how was your mum feeling when you got shortlisted?
So actually, I was in school when she got the email. So I came from school and she was like, "Guess what? You've been shortlisted." And I was like, "Oh, no way! I didn't really know what to do."
That's great. No, that's always nice. And I think it is really for parents. Obviously, it's not fair that we take the credit because you're the ones who wrote the stories. But I think parents, we are quite good at taking credit for something, at least. Idris, how was it for your? I think I'd spoken a bit to your dad before the show in the run up to arranging this. How was it for your dad, I guess, when you were shortlisted? And
well, he was really happy and proud of me that I was shortlisted.
Yeah, no, and rightly so. And so we've got just about a minute or so left, maybe, or a couple of minutes, I think, for the show. So it's been an absolute pleasure, guys, to speak to you all. Are there any final words of advice, like if there was just a sentence that you'd share for anybody who wants to maybe submit for next year? Idris, what piece of advice would you give to any young people listening in?
I would say just to write about things you enjoy and things you like, because they'll also the judges might also be into what you're writing about and might enjoy it as well.
That's so true. Fantastic advice. Absolutely. If you kind of have that enjoyment, it's almost kind of going to ooze out, right? And definitely, I think you're right. The judges would be able to pick up on that. Humera, how about yourself? What advice would you give to any young people listening?
I think everyone should be able to feel like they can kind of go into their passions, whether it's writing or not. And if it's writing, then write about what you enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. I think there's something so important about following your passion, whatever that is. Of course, it doesn't have to be writing. And, even from a Muslim perspective, it's so important that actually we, especially as parents as well, when we're, or teachers, educators, that we always encourage our young people to follow the kind of their strengths, and so it could be writing, it could be sports, it could be something differently creative or something more traditional, I think absolutely you're right. Follow your strength and follow your passion. And how about you, Saliha? What advice would you give?
I would say that it's not the winning that matters. It's the joy and experience of writing that counts. Just enjoy reading. If you don't win, it doesn't matter. Next time, just try even harder, and soon, inshallah, you will win.
Yeah, absolutely, inshallah. Such a wonderful like really wonderful sentiment. And you're right. And I think all three of the bits of advice all three of you have shared, they're kind of interconnected, because if you're writing for joy and you're following your passion, then you're right. Almost kind of winning the competition isn't necessarily the end goal. It's actually the whole journey and the learning that comes with it and that experience. And each time, I think, young people might enter a competition like this. Yeah, you're right. Each time you'll be gaining more experience in writing. You'll be maybe reading more books. You'll be, like Idris said earlier on, maybe receiving feedback and helping you improve. And that in itself is such an achievement and something definitely to celebrate. And yeah, absolutely. I think I agree with you. It's kind of the taking part, and it's about the learning as a whole, which I think is brilliant. So listeners, that we've just spoken today to Idris, Saliha and Humaira. So all three have been shortlisted for the Young Muslim Writers Awards. So you can look at, and I'm pretty sure when it comes to Young Muslim Writers Awards on the day anyway, I know they kind of create almost like an anthology of some of the entries, which is always a wonderful kind of keepsake for people to have. Obviously, if you do want more information about the Young Muslim Writers Award, you can go on to the website to get more information. As I mentioned, this is a Muslim Hands project. And, at the moment, obviously, the competition will be closed, but do keep a lookout for more information for the next round when it opens. It's definitely something I would recommend for young people to take part. And as I mentioned, there are different categories that you can submit, which is either poetry, short story, play script, or screenplay. So definitely keep that in mind. Inshallah, I will be back in a couple of weeks with a new guest and talking about a new book. If you want to get in touch and get involved in the book club that I run in Luton, please message the studio. We can share more details. The next book club session that I've got is actually tomorrow, but the show obviously is always on a Thursday morning, 10 to 11. I look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, please keep us all in your du'as. And that is fantastic. And please, if you have any recommendations, that would be amazing. Assalamu alaikum.